Yeah, at least okay. Um, I don't know if you guys can hear the water in the background, but it's kind of loud. So it's pretty loud. So if it's too much, just let me know and I will get up and I will try to fix it. But as of now, I'm just kind of leaving it be. It's kind of soothing. I do need to add more water to the fish tank. There is obviously, well, I guess you guys may not know this, but when you set up a new tank and you add like water and there's tons of sand and stuff like that, the water level will lower to accommodate like a lot of the bubbles that are in the sand and stuff. So it'll kind of displace a little bit more. Hello, hi Tanner. But I'm still wondering, can you hear the water? Does it sound like a river flowing? Oh, it feels so good. Or can you not hear it? And am I just like, is it just a new thing? You should tell me. You should tell me. Find out now. You can hear it. Should I turn it down? Is it annoying? Is it overpowering? I haven't done like a sound test to like hear it. So yeah. Sounds like someone's on the toilet for us. Yeah, I know. Okay, I know it's kind of goofy and it's a little weird looking right now. I can probably turn it down just a little bit. It'll sound a little bit better. Hold up. Hold up, hold up. Is that better? I just lowered the pressure a little bit. I had it a bit higher because I fertilized everything, so I wanted it to cycle properly. And now, whoa, my god. I knocked it over. Actually, I didn't. Wow. But yeah, that should be a little bit better. At least a little bit. If not, I don't know. Can you hear it now? I got cozy, so I'm not gonna move again. Did you just cut the oxygen for the fishes? Well, there's no fish. And the filter, the reason why I wanted this filter is because it has like a little knob on it. So when I'm streaming, I can lower the water force. So there's like a little suppressor in the tubing there's a little valve that you can open and close so it can suppress some of the water. So it just comes out quieter. And then when I'm done streaming, I'll just make it louder again. I'll be fine. Or I might leave it like that. Oh my gosh, my neck is so sore. I worked out before this. Normally I work out in the morning. I was feeling it today. Hey, Lily. But it should be okay. Aquarium without fish, is that an American thing? No, I just set it up yesterday. I gotta wait. Yeah, hi, buddy. I gotta wait like 2 months before I add like any fish, but I'll probably add some crustaceans in like a week or two. So like shrimp, maybe next week. Right now I'm just letting the plants grow a bit, and then I have some snails I'm gonna put in, and maybe they'll die. I don't think they will. Well, they might, actually. I'm not gonna add any snails yet. But yeah, I'm gonna add some, like maybe a couple different plants, and then we'll see what happens. Hi, you see this little guy? Oh my gosh, did you hear about bruh? I'm gonna add this to the back. Yeah, sorry, dude. I know. I moved something just a little bit, and now you're afraid. Freaking little lion. That's you, my little Leo. Not every Leo is like that, by the way. I'm not slandering Leos. I have Leo placement, so. Maybe also terrarium one day. Almost. I almost caught like a lizard today, and I was sitting there and I was like, I could have a little terrarium and put a lizard in there. It'd be so cool. But that's like future home stuff, and I don't know if I want like a lot of reptiles. If I have kids, I'd probably get some stuff for them to play with. So have like, I don't know, maybe, I guess it depends on what they like. Maybe they wouldn't even want that. No, they'll probably be like a ways down the line, if anything. I don't even know if I'll have kids at this point. George says, hi, Josie. Hi, and Tanner. A chameleon, they're also really cool, I find. They have them in Australia, which is kind of crazy. Okay, let's see. There we go, that's better. I had to update it a little bit. I don't know if I'll do a terrarium. I like them, but they're a lot of maintenance, just so you know. The really big ones are kind of cool. It's like a little hobby thing. It's not something that I'm gonna like really pursue a lot of. Streaming kind of became the hobby thing that I'm just like, I really like this. I'm gonna keep doing it. Same with TikTok. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try TikTok for a bit. And then every day I film like 7 TikToks. And I only post a couple of them usually. Post like 4 or 5 a day. Usually 5 or 6, honestly. But sometimes I only do like 4. I'm low-key addicted to posting on TikTok. It's so fun. It is literally so fun. And people judge the fuck out of me. And only, I guess you guys, because I like stream online and stuff. So obviously I do content here. So might as well talk about the content I do other places. But I make so many TikToks. It's insane. And it's amazing. I hate how I like it. I've always wanted to do like, I wanted to do Vine really bad, but like I said before, my family wouldn't let me. And then now as I got older, I was like, TikTok. Ah. A little bit of an addict. It's just, sorry. I can't help it. I can't help it. I don't know. It's goofy. It's goofy. But yeah, does anyone else do things on TikTok? Does anyone else have fun on TikTok? Or do you guys like, I don't know, not everyone likes posting online, which is fair. Sometimes I just doom scroll on TikTok now. That's kind of annoying. I'll sit there and I'll be like, huh, more. And I'll be like, this is interesting. More. And it's just like, I feel like I'm not really learning a ton, but I'm learning a lot about like social stuff. Like everybody's standards, why they like what they like nowadays, what's interesting them, and kind of cool. I really enjoy it. And maybe like, I don't know, maybe one day I'll like get a collab more with people on it. Most of the people in my life like don't really like social media, or at least don't really, they just don't care for it. So they don't really relate to anything I do. And then I try to talk about it, and then the only thing that they know about it is like OnlyFans. And I'm just like, or just like, they think content creators are really weird. And then I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I do that every day. And they're like, we think you're weird. And I'm like, eh. Which is a vibe. I've accepted it. It's okay. So weird to have this. My muscle memory isn't quite there yet. Hi, Type 2. We're talking about, or at least I'm talking about making TikToks. One day I'll make like a TikTok of me streaming. I'll be like, look at this chat. Chat v chat. Which chat's better? TikTok chat or stream TikTok? What's a TikTok? I know you're joking. I know you're joking. You don't use TikToks much? That's okay. There's like different people on each platform. So TikTok has a different demographic than Instagram. Instagram scares me. I know I need to start posting on Instagram more, and people are like, post on Instagram, post on Instagram. And I'm like, y'all, I don't have time for this. And Instagram is a scary place. It's like, people are mean there. People are mean, and I just post, you're an elderly millennial, bruh. Millennial isn't even old. Oh my god. I would say like Gen X is like old. But then if I ever get to that age, I'll probably be like, oh my god, people think I'm old. I already think I'm old, so. And I know TikTok was a joke, yes. TikTok is like casual. That's why I like it. And I'm kind of doing like the stuff on TikTok that was more popular before, but I feel like it's coming back. Maybe not. You don't use it, TBH? Ah, what do you mean? What the heck does that mean, type 2? I'm confused. You don't use it? It's okay. The weirdest things that I post on TikTok get more popular, and then I sit there and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Anyways, I also think it's like goofy how on TikTok you can see who views your profile. That like freaks me out a little bit. Unless you have it turned off. I think I have mine turned off. So like people can't see if I view their profile. So like, oh no. But it's freaky. It's freaky, man. YouTube Shorts though, that feels weird. For my feed, it's literally just like movies. Just all movie content. And some skits, but like mainly just like random movie clips. And I'm like, okay. And then I eventually, if I scroll enough or if I click on an account, I'll just be able to watch like a synopsis of an entire movie in YouTube Shorts. And it's kind of trippy to me. I like it, I guess, because then I don't have to actually spend the time watching the movie. But, that's just the time thing. YouTube used to be a short video platform. Yeah, I love the long video essays though. I live for it. In the winter months where I can't go out and I can't do a lot of stuff, I will listen to an 8-hour long video essay over the span of like 3 days. I will grind the fuck out of stuff just listening to video essays. Nowadays, I feel like it's just recycled content though in some aspects. Like, how do I put it? I'm trying to think of like the best way to say this. Like, it's not that there's not original content, but like the algorithm has changed. So if there's a specific concept or whatever that's popular, then you get the content. So if there's a video essayist I like, I have to actually have notifications on or something. And even that doesn't help that much. So it's like, eh. Tanner stuff must be great for you, especially all the history stuff and free documentaries there. Yeah. Though free documentaries can be weird. Like if it's not publicized by I'm tired as fuck, y'all. But if it's not publicized by the person who created it or by a credible source, sometimes people will take clips out of like something, which is really frustrating to deal with. So I was watching a documentary the other day on YouTube, and it was like a docu-series, more or less. I can't remember exactly what it was about. I think it was about like, I don't know. I think the BBC made it or something. And they didn't publicize it in a random YouTube video. Random YouTuber did. And not even a YouTuber, just an account, honestly. They don't make their own content. That's unique. So I just say YouTube account. And I was looking in the comments and they're like, you left out like 15 minutes of it. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like scrolling and scrolling, and then there are like timestamps and stuff like that of where it should be. So I went into another video and I got to be able to see it, and I was like, damn, how many like sources like that have I thought were credible on YouTube that actually aren't in that way? I never thought about people just like cutting stuff out, you know, or having malintentions in that way, which makes sense, but kind of disappointing. True, it can also be misleading as if not done properly. I mean, I think the docu-series was more about like, I can't even remember everything it was about, because I stopped watching it after that, and I didn't really watch the original one because I was like, I was a little weirded out, and then I got distracted. That was a while ago. Ish. I don't even remember when. But since then, I've just been pretty much watching like more, sadly, like political content. So today I was watching the 3 hour long Senate hearing. I took notes again. My manager was like, "What are you doing while you're working?" And I was like, "Watching the Senate hearing with RFK Jr." And she was like, "Are you okay?" Like, she literally was like, "Do you want to go home early today? Like, it's your turn to get cut, and it's really slow. So, like, you know, I already finished everything that I needed to do. And later in the week, that's when, and well, technically, my manager's on vacation, and that's why. So, if everything gets done, we don't get assigned new projects, and I'm just kind of sitting there. And I wish I did it slower, because then I could have gotten paid longer, but whatever. Such is life. I'm newer, so I have to take it. But yeah, she was like, she pulled me aside and she was like, "You should rest. You should not listen to that." But it was really interesting. I like it when people yell at RFK Jr. Not that I like it. It's just that he doesn't really have any good defenses. And whenever he's cornered in a conversation, he's like, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And he said it like fucking 20 times. He was like, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." They'd be like, "Sir, do you think..." Wait, let me think of like an actual like example. Um, sure, what do you think about like how not making vaccines, like, I don't know, something about vaccines. Like, what do you think about making vaccines more accessible to the common person? Do you think that that would like benefit society more? Or no, no, no. This one came up a lot, and he'd just be like, "I can't hear you." This is the best one, in my opinion. Let me pause and find the best way to phrase this, because my brain is like, which one is the best one? You know, I actually wrote this shit down. Hold up. I took notes. Oh, yeah, it was about Trump. So when they were talking about Trump and stuff, they were like, so Trump said that let me be sure I got the proper terminology. Operation Warp Speed, which was trying to make it so that the COVID vaccine would come out sooner in like early 2020 and stuff like that. He said that Operation Warp Speed was the best thing and the best like feat that we've had medicinally in our nation. And he was really, really proud of it. But RFK Jr. stated that multiple times that vaccines killed more people than COVID did. And then people would be like, "What do you think about that? What do you think about that?" And then multiple times he'd be like, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And then eventually, with someone, he answered the question, where he said, like, well, at that time it was, like, a good thing to happen, but then later on it killed more people than helped more people or whatever after the initial one, because the initial one was the best one. And then after that, he stuck with that line of thinking, and then he would just say, I can't hear you, to, like, other stuff, which was insane. And I have so many notes. I, like, it just keeps going. It's insane. But yeah, that's why I had to sit here. I'd be like, okay, which one's the best one? Obviously, Warren was, like, pretty good when they were talking to Trump. Sanders kills it as per usual. Some of the other, like Mr. Young was interesting. This is the person that, I don't know if you guys care about this at all, but I'm just gonna talk about it. But he's obviously a senator. I don't remember what state he's from, but he asked if RFK Jr. was planning on including and collaborating with other countries regarding vaccines in development. And then RFK Jr. said that they were planning on continuing collaboration and increasing collaboration to take the weight off of American, like, resources, basically, or at least that's what was implied. But he gave no, like, cues on what countries would be included in that, as well as for what vaccines or pharmaceuticals would be tested, and if that would be private or if that would be, like, sponsored by the government. And then also, like, many times, they were talking about, like, how the big beautiful bill made it so that a lot of pharmaceutical prices were, let's see, a lot of pharmaceutical prices are now protected so that they can't be, like, the government can't necessarily, like, change them or challenge them again, which is really frustrating. But anyways, George says, I didn't see the hearing today, was working outside all day. Oh, no, it's okay. It was basically RFK Jr., like, just kind of sitting there, and the Republicans, for the most part, didn't challenge him too much. Some of them did a little bit. They were like, why are you trying to push against vaccines, like, that much? Why are you so upset? Oh my gosh. Well, there's a couple of talking points. Obviously, in Minnesota and a lot of the states that have, like, more gun violence and stuff, they were talking about that a little bit. They're like, well, because RFK Jr., in an interview that was recent, stated that, oh, how do I put it? He stated that school shootings, or the school shooting in Minnesota, was caused by antidepressants, and antidepressants make people want to kill other people, or at least he implied that in his statements. And when he was questioned about that, he backtracked so fucking hard, and that's why the senator was coming at him so fucking hard. She was like, what the fuck? Why would you say that? That was, like, actually insane. Because, representatives are supposed to generally represent their state and bring up those issues. So obviously she had to. Like, I understand why she did. It was just really interesting. So that was a really big contention point. What else? He got obviously really pissed with, like, Senator Warren. He's always really pissed with her. Like, he fucking hates her. He also doesn't like Sanders, but he respects him more. And I think that's because Sanders is, like, not just a man, but also Bernie does try to collaborate more with people. His campaign is very active, like, very, very active. And you don't see that as often. Darius says, OMG, comment Josie. Glass Alien Earth was fucking dreadful last night and everyone loved it, but they're so wrong. Okay, is that the game? But yeah, so other than that, we're talking about the Senate hearing today. Obviously, a lot of people are really upset with the big beautiful bill. Like I said, there's lots of protections in the big beautiful bill for, yeah, you're okay with Sanders. Warren needs to go. No. No. I think Warren though she's not my cup of tea, but people voted her in for a reason, and I think she's better than a lot of the alternatives in that state. But I'm not getting in that conversation now. I also want to mention the beautiful bill was a really big contention point. Bernie Sanders was very, very aggressive and well-spoken, as he normally is. He was just kind of like, okay, so you're saying that everyone is against you, like the American Heart Association, the American Association of Pediatrics, the doctors, like literally every single association that helps regulate and like ensure that people's safety is working is against you and Big Pharma. Like that was the vibe. And how do I say this? And then he just couldn't really answer. Like, usually he'd be like, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. Or he'd be like, well, I don't know. And people would ask him for a lot of statistics or where to find statistics. And he would be like, well, you should know this. You should know this. Even though he's the one in charge of it. And he couldn't even tell people, like, where they could access any of those resources. A really big contention point was how he was stating that, like, vaccines were really bad and how they shouldn't be as protected anymore and that there was sources for it, but every time he was asked for those sources, he would say he didn't, like, he would say they're public information, and they'd be like, but where can I find it if it's public information? And he would deflect, and he would just say it's public information, or he'd say I can't hear you. Yeah, it was crazy. Daria says, if you could change just one aspect of the Dems, would you pick economic policies or social policies? Bruh. Lots of things. Daria says, hi George, hope you're well and not falling for this baby Yoda alien Earth propaganda. What the fuck do you mean? What is that supposed to mean? I feel like I always have Republicans in my chat. Lefties will hang out for a little bit and then they'll be like, yeah, get madder, basically. And I'm like, bruh, when I'm mad, I don't really yell at people. Like, when I get to that point, I'm just fucking done with you. And it takes a lot to get me to yell at you. You have to be, like, really fucked up for me to, like, yell at you or, like, do something that I can have, like, a say in or something. I don't know. Jerry says there's an eyeball in alien Earth and they're trying to make it into a baby. Oh. Okay. Bread. Bread? What do you mean? Actually, we're not getting into that. But I also want to mention that most of the Republicans were obviously, like, trying to pat his back a lot because they're most of the pro-MAGA, pro-RFK. Yeah, thank you, Tanner. But they were very much, like, pro-MAGA, pro, like, RFK Jr. and that sort of thing. And, how do I put it? They would just be like, oh, I'm gonna give you the time to, like, defend yourself or whatever. I'm gonna give you time to do, like, XYZ, and therefore, like, in that time, you can just, like, talk or whatever. And, that really didn't help out that much. There's also, like, people that were trying to, like, time, like, the person that came after Bernie Sanders did time Bernie, which was, like, ridiculous because Bernie finished, like, his comments early. And, if you ever do watch a Senate hearing that's like that, or like when they're basically trying to talk to someone and learn more information about them, you need to be like very mindful that the senators only have so much time. So if it feels like they had like 5 minutes today, like each person, and it still took like 3 hours, and they had about like 5 minute breaks. I think they had 2 5 minute recesses, I think on the hour or whatever. But for the most part, it's really, really long. And it can be very difficult to like have a lot of sympathy for the person or the person who's like asking questions or the senator, because it always feels like they're grilling them and it's never casual, and the person who is sitting there and trying to answer the questions doesn't have an adequate amount of time, or at least doesn't have a ton of time to make any responses. I do, however, want to mention that each senator, up until Thursday, I think it's like 5 p.m. or something like that. I can't remember the exact time. Maybe like Eastern Standard Time, whatever. They're allowed to submit more questions on public record via like letter kind of situation. And that's how RFK Jr. can reply. He can either do it on like more of a public platform, or I think it has to be like a written reply as well. Which is, you know, meh. Also, there's going to be an ad in 25 seconds. It's not going to be for 25 seconds. It's going to be for a minute and a half, and I believe you can do that max. So, long story short, there was a lot of stuff that was covered today. There was things all the way from, like, vaccine mandates, the big beautiful bill, school shootings, financial allocation. Oh, they also talked about how he fired everybody on the vaccine board, like 17 people, and some of the senators started breaking down like why they were supposedly fired, and he basically told people, like in his conversation with Warren, he said, "Oh, I fired," because Miss Warren was like, "Why did you fire the director of the CDC?" Basically, like why did you fire the person that was in charge? And Miss Warren stated like that was probably a little ridiculous. Like, you should have done that. That's like one of the only times it happened, you know, in our history. And he said, because she told me to my face that I could not trust her and that she was untrustworthy. And Warren was like wild about it. Warren was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what are you talking about? Like, that makes no sense." Oh, obviously she didn't say that because she's made multiple public, you know, public comments about that. And then she will also be interviewed by a lot of the legislators in the next couple of weeks. Bernie hinted at that in his comments. Tanner says, "How often are these hearings?" It really depends. They're technically like briefings, I guess, a little bit. And the Senate can call them a lot of different times. Right now it's really relevant because RFK Jr. did a lot of like really weird shit, aka firing the entire vaccine panel. And do you follow those? Yeah. I've been involved in this stuff since like high school. I took a break though, mainly because like well, yeah, lots of stuff. I'm not gonna talk about it too much. Yeah. But it's like, honestly, one, it's important to understand what's happening. I used to never talk about it publicly or like on stream because I started streaming and I talked about politics a little bit, and when I was in the politics tag, people literally like were so fucking ridiculous and they just wanted to debate me. And I was like, "But I want to have a conversation with you about this stuff." And then all they wanted to do is fight. And they're just like, "You should fight about this. You should do that." And I was like, "No, it's like stupid." But I watch almost every briefing, like presser, like everything that's like on C-SPAN for the most part. Sometimes I'll have like, if it's on my computer, I'll have like multiple things up at once, and I'll just kind of like have one playing in the background depending on like and I'll have the subtitles up obviously, so I'll follow one while I'm listening to the other. Usually I take notes. I'm getting back into that too. So like when work's slow, I do that. Usually most of my jobs are like really chill with it. What's your take on this core stuff? What do you mean? What does that mean? Yeah, I try to talk about it every once in a while. I usually don't dedicate like whole streams to it because obviously there's so many political commentators, but my goal, if I ever can, if I can stream more than like fucking 2 hours a day, I would love to break down some of these briefings and kind of make it more layman's, you know? Be like, "Oh my god, they're saying this because of this, this, and this." The PAC that was going to pay left-leaning influencers. Oh, are you talking about that? Well, one, but it already exists for Trump and everything like that, so it's nothing new. American politics has been like that for a really long time, for a progressive victory. America's been like that for a really long time. It's not what you think it is. It is what you think it is in some aspects, but it's also not. It's not like a huge scandal in the sense of, oh my God, you know, we've never seen that in politics before, because it's basically like what Trump did with influencers. Like, he paid influencers to talk about his stuff. Like, he literally had private podcasters and stuff like that come into larger meetings and everything, have more access, leverage people to, like, so you're not aware of the drama. No, I know. Like, David Pakman, Aaron Parnas or whatever, the list goes on and on. I'm aware of it. It's like, the thing is this is nothing new. This has been going on in American politics for a very long time. Like, a very long time. It's just now the public is more aware of it. Beforehand, the Democrats couldn't necessarily rally around a unified cause to do it, but, I mean, they could. And I don't know if they did or not. I'm not part of that sort of thing. I'm not, we talk about politics quite a bit, but I'm not like, I don't make enough or have enough influence for most of what I say to be relevant in this. So I'm aware. I pay attention. It's just, it's not what most people think it is. People make it out to be a way bigger thing than it is. And that's not me trying to defend it. I'm just saying that, like, American politics has been in this state ever since, like, the 60s with Nixon. So, you could run for president one day. I don't know. Let me, like, graduate first, fuck. Before I do any shit like that. You know. First female president. I'd like for it to be someone else first. Like, probably, I don't know. I think AOC would do okay. I think she's old enough. And she's, not shit. But I think the stressor would be a lot. And most of the time, a presidency is like a finisher's move, you know? No? Okay, Darius, you're getting a little too ahead of yourself. Chill. Chill. Stop. Chill. Okay, AOC, you're kidding, right? I think she's a lot better than most people. Like, at least she back with a lot of the stuff, like, back up a lot of the stuff that she says. And here's the thing. Most, like, if you participate in campaigns, you participate in your community or whatever, you will interact with politicians. And you will meet them, and you'll be like, oh, hi. And you may not know that they're politicians, but you will meet them. I grew up in the state capitol, all that sort of thing, and I had to, like, literally feed them and serve them when I was, like, basically a cashier, like, waitressing and stuff like that. So I got to interact with them quite a bit more than the average person. And I got to eavesdrop on some conversations. I also shadowed and did that sort of thing when I was younger, yada yada. But, like, they're not that fucking smart. Like, no, I'm not saying everyone is super smart, but, like, a lot of politicians are not insanely intelligent, and they learn on the job and they learn on the fly. Like, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. How she handles her, I don't like her. I don't like her at all, just so you guys know. But how she handles everything is completely different now than how it was prior. Because now she's taking politics more seriously, and now she's doing more oppositional stuff with MAGA and shit. Because she's like, oh fuck, if I want to actually be a politician, I can't just fucking dick ride Donald Trump constantly. I gotta, like, fucking build momentum elsewhere. And it's just what they gotta do. Let's see. Daria says AOC is a social democrat, right? Not a socialist. I mean, even if you are a socialist in America, if you want to get anyone to like fucking vote for you, you have to be a democratic socialist. Tanner says yada yada. What is that supposed to mean, sassy man? Nice. Be nice. I don't know. I like talking about it more than I like getting involved. There's a lot of social politics that come with okay, there's a lot of social politics that come with being in a position like that, and I don't know if that's what I want. I wouldn't mind, like, I don't even like campaign work that much. It's really annoying. I like volunteering, for a good cause and stuff, but I'm not necessarily, and I've done that since, like, high school and everything, so it's not really anything new, but it's not something that, like, I don't know if I would get into politics in that way. If the world takes me that way, sure, I guess, but I don't know. It's part of everyone's life, so it's important to understand what's happening. Daria says, I prefer to be like, oh, hi, Chaotic, by the way. A little finger fucking about in the background and having everything I've said, or done dragged out. What do you mean? Oh, you mean then having that information dragged out? I mean, people are gonna lie about you all the time. The bigger the platform you have, the more public it's gonna be, and it's not. I don't know. Like it. I think as I haven't had like the easiest life or whatever, and I fucked up quite a bit too. Like there's been times where like I fucked up and I deserve like to be held accountable for things, but there's also times where like people have just shit on me for no fucking reason. And well, I understand why they did, but it was mainly like things that weren't always super great, It was just insecurities that they had, or, they were trying to have a certain outcome that would benefit them more than another thing. Ollie, no thank you. No thank you. No thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Space. But yeah. So you want power without accountability? I don't think that's necessarily valid. A lot of people, especially if you get like, you don't even have to have like any form of limelight. If you do better or outperform people who think that, not even who think that they should have what you have, but they have some, I don't know. There's just stuff that happens in life where people either intentionally or unintentionally will drag you down. And then in hindsight, they realize that they fucked up. And when you're young, you make those mistakes and stuff, but is it something that you're going to learn from and grow out of, or is it something that you want to like make your entire personality, Bye, Tanner. And that's like some people don't grow out of it, and then they wonder why they're not successful, because you cannot be successful if you are going to be malicious like that. Otherwise, it will not be long-term stability and success, because people will be able to easily poke holes into manipulation if you're manipulative. That's why manipulative people, like sometimes people will like cycle through friends really quickly or like whatever, because they just can't last in certain scenarios. And I'm not saying like, and I'm talking more interpersonal relationships rather than like a workplace, because that can be very different. Because usually the interpersonal relationships show a lot more than a external relationship that's more public facing, like a job. But yeah, such is life, It's just like, I don't know. It happens. And there's only so much you can do about it. It's not like you can prevent everybody from being a dick. Daria says, I heard a fascinating theory of modern interpersonal relationships today. Chill. Chaotic says, Josie, do you mind if I talk about my day? I do appreciate you asking, but I probably won't be able to go super deep into it. I don't really have the bandwidth for that today. I've had quite a bit of a day myself, and I don't think I'll be able to be the best person to absorb everything. And that's not me trying to be a dick, that's just me trying to be honest. I won't be able to give you the reception that you probably need. No problem. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, thank you for asking, though. I really appreciate that. Very good manners. Dario says it was about how we have weaponized outgroups to the degree that we see outgroups as only attacking us. So any criticism, etc., from the in-group scene as betrayal. Then it used to be an effective check-in. Oh, when it used to be an effective check on the group's ideology. I think that's fair. But I also want to mention that that's something that's been going on throughout most of time. Oh, there we go. I finally got it. And you can see that with government powers, cliques, social groups like that. They go out past like centuries. Small towns, religious institutions, like list goes on and on. It's kind of like oftentimes if people like, how do I say it? The first thing that people hear about a circumstance or a situation is usually something that they're more likely to hold on to the most, and they'll hold on to who told them that information. Or at least they'll view it from that person's perspective, and they'll have more empathy for that than anyone else. That's why people who are manipulative, or even media and stuff like that, journalists will try to be the first person to have the story. Like, even before the Senate briefing today was completed, there was already posts online about what was being said. Like, there's already TikToks, there's already news articles, there's already all that stuff. Like, you have to be quick. There's whole teams, like, designated to handle that in some aspects. If you're a streamer doing that shit live, sometimes you could have, like, an editor that could sit there and, like, if I were to be a larger streamer, that's what I would do. I would hire on an editor to sit there and clip things as I was doing stuff, and I would have them post it on my, accounts. That would just be part of their job. And you could find, other ways to do that. Like, that's how you become something in streaming when it comes to news media outlets. And I know some people probably already do that. It's expensive to hire someone on to do that, which is hard, but yeah. Dari says, no, this is different. In groups self-regulate, but now self-regulation has less emphasis because the corresponding emphasis on the aggression from outgroups. But you also, it may lack the understanding that in groups or social groups of any standing have a hierarchy, and that hierarchy can be managed in a lot of different fashions. So the more authoritative that hierarchy is within that friend group or established, social setting, the more likely they are going to view negative advances or pressure from outgroups as a threat. It's just, that's how I see it, Yeah. So I think it has more to do with authoritarian friendships and friend groups or social groups being more common and popular. And that's why people like Trump and having more authoritarian policies and stuff are so normalized in certain types of people. It's because it's very familiar. They're like, oh, having someone who's in charge, who's regulating everyone, telling everyone what to do, makes sense for a lot of people. It just does. People make it about so much more, and it's no, it's just a subconscious comfort, Dari says, yeah, that's broadly correct. The difference is that these groups are having less self-regulation and more imposed regulation. Yeah, but the imposed regulation is they look to someone within the hierarchy to make the decision for them. And if you challenge that hierarchical decision process, you will be either excluded or you become the leader of the group, And I also view that any form. So if the person who's in charge socially, or the person who's viewed to be a leader in the situation, who leads like the emotional part of the group or whatever, if they explicitly state that they don't necessarily like what someone is doing, then everybody else will be ganged up on that perspective. But if they say it's okay, even if it hurts a specific individual's feelings, then it doesn't matter as much, and the rest of the group will not rally. You might get like a couple of people, but it's not going to be like a whole wave. Dari says, yes, exactly, but there's a clear directional shift towards authoritarian style in groups across society due to the open nature of social media. I don't think it has to do with social media whatsoever. I think it has to do with insecurity. You can find that anywhere. Like, if you go back in time to any revolution that has existed, whether that be like the American Revolution, anything like that, the people who are wanting to maintain the status quo are going to be in turn more authoritative. Most people who are more about maintaining the status quo will go to greater extents to have that maintenance than someone who is wanting to make change. That's why there's not more like Luigi's out there. But you could probably count on your hand like so many freaking people who are willing to like talk shit about you just so that they can keep the hierarchy, the social hierarchy the same, even if they technically do like you. Daria says, so it's like the difference between a local parish and the Vatican. Before, the parish basically did whatever it wanted within reason, and now it's reverted to dogmatism. I wouldn't say that's necessarily social media all in its entirety that caused that. I think it's more so communication as a whole. We started this like started becoming more of a process with printed media becoming more popular because you can unify more people like through newsletters and stuff like that. Then you had the telegram, which started like in the late 1800s, and then that made communication more popular. Then you had phones, and phones became more of a standard for people to be able to communicate. But the difference with phones that people don't necessarily understand is that for a very long time, up until the 90s, actually some parts of the 80s, most landlines or people who had access to phones, they would have a shared line. So either people from your same street or people from your same household would be able to hear the communication that was being sent. So it was like less private, you know? And it'd be harder to like gossip and that sort of thing because anyone could pick up and listen. That's a newer thing. I think what you're talking about has been building momentum for a very, very long time. And then you have television and stuff like that too. Television, movies, that sort of media, obviously, like, you know, in the when short films started existing, like World War II, even before World War II a little bit, they would have news at movie theaters. They would just have like a movie that they would watch of the news. And it was really popular. Daria says, it's about how the presence of social media is ubiquitous to people's lives now, and the subsequent criticisms, not about valid or invalid ones, but the frequency has driven this change. I'd say yes and no. Yes and no. I think we both agree about the problem, but as to why it has scaled to the degree that it is, I think it's been like that for a long time, but social media has shown a spotlight on that effect more so than like social media being the cause of it. That's my personal perspective. Daria says, I suppose the natural conclusion is that essentially a reaction to a postmodernism where the only objective truth is haters. That's why I'm interested in, as we know, all the happenings, and that's it's the why I find interesting. Yeah. Oh no. Media is what I grew up in. It's kind of like my my job in a way. Outside of streaming and stuff, I have to talk about it a lot with people. And the more research I do in the history of it, and specifically like print media and stuff like that, the more of an understanding is that I have that this sort of thing has been here for a really long time. But the censorship as to how much is visible to the everyday person, that is very different. Because, like, if you go back to the Cold War, people would be, like, watching shit on TV, like, getting the news from the radios and stuff like that. And the government had a lot of control over what people could consume. They had control over the type of content people could consume because there was only a certain amount of public radio stations available and a certain amount of public TV stations available. So if they did not like your media program, they could get rid of it. But YouTube and that sort of thing has caused things to be different. It has made the oppositional perspective more apparent to the overall like public infrastructure. So now people feel as though they're on the defense more because it feels like everyone has like a huge grouping that's coming against them possibly, but the reality is that you're still only interacting with like one person unless you dive into that or choose to move into those echo chambers, which beforehand it'd be harder to access that. But not in the ways that you think. Like, it's always still there. It's just you could more easily be, like, in your own little world, in your own little hole, and ignore that. But you can still do that to this day. Just block accounts that you don't like do mass blocking or, like, whatever. Daria says, the church, I think you can argue is media as well. At least the controlling and interpretation of information. That's fair, yeah. Daria says, that may have been YouTube like 10 years ago, but now the algo kind of directs the content to a homogenized standard, which is why it is so shit compared to 2010s. I agree to that in a certain avenue, because you can customize your algorithm. The idea of the algorithm is to get you to stay there longer. Though like we've talked about last Tuesday, like just a couple days ago, social media is in and of itself going to change its policies to appease the people that is in control of whether or not they have access to a user base. So, to rephrase that, social media cares about what the governing bodies say because the governing bodies say whether or not they're allowed to make money, and they want to make them happy. So they will slightly alter things. Not even slightly, they will modify their platforms to accommodate to whoever is in power in most countries. And you have like Elon Musk with X in Brazil and stuff like that, where he didn't do that and now he's still dealing with those consequences. Like he lost a huge market and it fucked him over. So it's better to modify yourself. Google does it, at least a little bit. They say they do, but they still fuck shit up anyways. But Google does it. Literally, like Microsoft does it. Like you have to abide by the regulations because their end goal is to make money. Profit is what hurts them. And that's what the governments have control over. The people, we as the people, we can boycott, and that's the way we can influence their profit. We can speak up and argue with people and like do whatever, and we can influence their profit in that way by raising awareness. But at the end of the day, if the government bails them out, what the people doesn't matter. So they care more about the government and making the government happy than they care about the people, because government first, people second. Sometimes it flip-flops, but very rarely. Well, let's see. Jerry says, Chaotic, are you going to share your day or what? Oh, I just don't have a lot of bandwidth for it. I'm sorry. This is a very good conversation, but when it comes to emotional stuff, I'm probably not going to be in it today. Let's see. Darius says, yeah, you can still post what you want within reason, but there's so much context for it to be consumed that you have to submit to these algos. That's if you want recognition. That's the caveat. That's the caveat. Darius says, Apple does it with software as well as Steam too, but less so. Twitch is doing it right now because I've never watched Kaisenot in my life, and he's nonstop recommended to me. He's also, like, the biggest, if not, like, one of the biggest streamers on the platform. Watching what he does is actually rather interesting. He is collaborating with very, very, very large-scale media enterprises outside of Twitch. And he is one of the first streamers to do it at the scale that he is. People online aren't necessarily understanding, and this is something that I think more content, well, I guess it's more visible on stuff like TikTok, but even not. But that is where the algorithm is headed, at least in some aspects. Like, obviously, you're going to have micro communities and stuff, and you're going to have some people that make their ranks up there. But what he makes and what he does is going to pave the way for what a lot of other streamers do. He sets a lot of the trends. Daria says, yeah, it's very impressive. It's like a cross between a reality show and a game show from what I've seen. The issue is you don't need to discover him. Yeah. But the reason why he's recommended to you is because so many other people like it. And Twitch is like, oh, if everybody else like this, then you'll like this. And other people that you follow or whatever in their communities, they also follow this creator. So that means you have a higher chance of liking them too. It's kind of, it makes sense. And if you engage with it a little bit, then yeah, you could block it. You could just say no. And you can get rid of it that way. Oh yeah, he's hella profitable to Twitch. But that's definitely not the only reason. It's primarily everybody else likes this. So I bet you'll like this too. He's doing a subathon or something and probably single-handedly saving their quarter. Yeah, could be. I really don't watch a lot of his content that much, but when it comes up, I take a peek. Because usually it's because something's happening. And he's having there's like an event or whatever. Yeah. Sorry, chaotic. I just see clips saying with that speed gap. Oh yeah, speed. I don't know a lot about iShow's speed. I don't, like, when it comes to larger content creators, I do quite like a few of them, obviously. And also, thank you for the follow, Andrew. I quite like a lot of them. But the thing is that I only get to consume their content. And I try really hard to not, like, over consume to the point where I'm like, you know, I just don't want to get so invested in it that I lose track of, like, my goals and stuff. I don't want to view their content and their life as my entertainment, which is why I am kind of, like, against, like, sharing a lot of my personal life. Or even if I do, I will literally, like, make it so confusing to you guys that you're not really sure what's happening. You guys may think you have it, and you're like, nah, I have it figured out. I have it figured out what she's doing or whatever. But you really don't. Sometimes I say I'm doing things right now that I've already completed, like, a year ago. And now I'm saying I'm doing it now because I want you guys to know that I'm doing a thing or I have done a thing. But I put a lot of time and effort into it. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I want to keep private because I don't want my life to be entertainment for you. You know, I want what we come in here and talk about to be the entertainment, not my personal life, because that's where things get really weird. Let's see. Oh, Chaotic says, I met Kai by iShow Speed. They're close friends, apparently. That makes sense. Speed's a United fan, so he's on my socials quite a lot. Oh, that makes sense, too. He's a good athlete. That's how I saw him. Like, I saw him, like, doing fucking flips and shit like that in China or whatever, and I was like, holy fuck. This dude is insane. But, like, in a good way. In a good way. Daria says, so is this bald guy Hutch, who seems to have come from nowhere, and now he dominates my entire social media. I don't know who that is. Daria says, probably chaotic, but when he was playing, oh, you're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. He's in the shirt and going to games to try and track him down. I think the only clip that I saw of him, I remember this because it was literally like yesterday. I saw a clip of one of them. It was either Kai or iShow Speed or whatever, but they're on a boat thing, and they saw like one super famous like American football guy, and he was like, cool. And the football dude was like, are you following me? Like, why are you at my house? And they were like, I don't know. And he was like, I live here though. Like, why are you here? And it was just like, it's a coincidence, I swear. Which honestly, that fucking sucked. Like, imagine that shit. Nightmare. Nightmare. Just like, having them recognize you and be like, why are you at my house? Nightmare. Nightmare. And it's like something completely unrelated, like not even planned. Oh my gosh. But anyways, Adaria says the greatest thing I've seen involving boats was the Klitschkov and Shannon McCannon breaks. I don't know what that is. But like back to what we were talking about like communication and stuff like that. It's a whole new world, but I think a lot of the time more people are getting social validation online in ways that they weren't able to in their own personal lives. And sometimes that can cause people to feel like they're in an in-group when they actually are not actually part of that in-group. And that's what you can see with, I don't listen to like people talking as like friends on podcasts. Like, because even if I relate to them, your brain can't decipher between reality and fiction. Your brain cannot do that. So like it does in the sense of you can be like, oh yeah, that's not real or whatever, but there's a reason why you could read a book that's like fiction and you can cry because you empathize so much with it. There's a reason why you can watch a movie and cry even though you're not even associated with the characters at all, where people have their favorite movie stars, their favorite so on and so forth, you know? And it usually comes from the character that they're really attached with, not even the person itself. It like extends beyond that. So for me, I don't really watch podcasts. I don't really watch like the social in-grouping thing that happens with like streamers or whatever or content creators because I'm not a part of that. You know, like they're not really my like friends. I can't interact with them. I can't like talk to them. And it feels weird. Like I recognize that. How do I say this? I figured that out when I wasn't an H3 fan, but I would watch their content and I realized that I was getting more invested in the people and I wasn't filtering out the content as much. And I was like, oh, this is a problem. And I stopped watching them like in 2023. I was like, no, I'm not consuming this at all anymore. And then I had like my whole like my arc or whatever, my Kelly arc or whatever the fuck. And then I came back and I was like, okay, I don't know. I just haven't consumed like any of that since. Even like TV shows and stuff, I've had a hard time watching that too. Anyways, that's what it is. A boxer trolling then the world champion to fight him. Oh. Oh, I see what you mean. I don't know what this is. He's just taunting the dude in the water. Do they fight in the water? I don't know what happens here. Anyways, yeah, it's like that's also why I don't really collaborate with a lot of like other streamers and stuff because I don't know, I don't even know how I want to navigate with that stuff. And it's really it's weird. It's weird. Because on one hand, having another person like this is a little off topic, but it's something I've been thinking about quite a bit the past like couple of months or whatever. You could do a collab with Zach though. I wouldn't mind doing a collab with Zach. I like Zach's content. Zach is like political commentators and stuff I'm chill with because like the goal of the stream would be to talk about a specific topic and to do a thing. But having like a casual conversation where you just sit there and have like you just talk like you're friends or whatever. I don't know. It's not really for me. Watch me like do that eventually. That'd be such a fucking meme. But as of now, that's just like something that I'm so private that even with people in my personal life, which I'm trying to get better with opening up. That's why I started doing content online, because I struggle with opening up. Like, to anybody in my life. I'm just like, nope. So that's why, I don't know. That's like the next stage. Maybe. Probably not, though. I don't fucking know. But yeah. Maybe. I think that'd be really fun eventually. Let's see. Daria says, OMG, there's a hedgehog in my garden. My dogs are gonna fight it. GG, enjoy the stream. Fuck hedgehogs. Okay, bye. I also like hedgehogs. Like, Sonic the Hedgehog is pretty cool. And I also have to leave in like 7 minutes, chat. I know. That's why I was like, today's gonna be a short day and we won't be able to cover what I normally want to cover, which is okay. Let's see. Daria says you don't know Kilchov. He's the current governor of a town in Ukraine. Oh, he's world heavyweight champion for the decade. Yeah, no. I will watch that though. I will watch that later. But yeah, it's like, it's hard. It's hard to talk about things and do things with people. It's always so weird because it's like sometimes I feel like I'm like hyper aware of stuff that like happens in interactions, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I just don't know what to say anymore. It's not that people are like easy or whatever, because it's not even that at all. It's just like when you start like doing like or talking about this, and then you get so involved in the conversation that you don't recognize other people are there, and then you may say something you don't want to, which I need to be more comfortable with being open online. I know that about myself. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm doing this online shit for so long, because I and I noticed, like, I came back to streaming, which I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I came back to stream again because I was locking myself in again, and I wasn't being open enough with people or wanting to be around people again. So I was like, fuck it, fine, I'm going to do this thing. And that's why, like, my life doesn't move forward unless I stream. Yeah. Chaotic says, I also have an easier time opening up online with trusted people. Yeah. Yeah. It can be like that. I just don't like talking to people a lot. Like, Andrew's just like, bitch, you don't like people. And I'm like, I'm a people person. Like, I love being around people. It's just when it comes to, like, I don't know, when it comes to, like, talking about my life and stuff with people, like, you can talk to me about your shit all day. I'll give you, like, little things. And then I go, like, nope. I lock in. I'm just like, nope. Nope. There's people that I've known for, like, literally decades. Like, Andrew knows that I like being around people and I like talking to people and doing like the small talk and all that stuff, but I don't like sharing things with people. It causes like every problem in my life.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, bruh.
You gonna be ready to skedaddle soon?
You don't like talking to people? Lie to someone else. No! Okay, yes, I'll be ready in just a couple minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you just don't like sharing things. That's okay. Yeah, I'm a very like private person, but I'm trying to get so much better with it. I'm trying to be like, oh, these are the things that I like. These are the things that I do. And then sometimes I'll catch myself and I'll be like, you know what? I actually don't know anything about this actually. And I get so nervous that this is me opening up. You're welcome, chat. But like, I'll get so nervous about it that I'll just be like, and I'll like, my brain will just like blank and I'll be like, actually, panic. It's so bad. Oh, they say hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Andrew says hi back. What a bitch. Anyways. He's so tired of my shit today. I came home early, so I got to annoy him, and he was like, please leave me alone. But like, now you get to learn another thing about me. I dopamine farm people. If I'm close to you, and I mean, I'm just a little shit, and it's better if they riff with me, you know? Sometimes Andrew can riff with me. This is why we're roommates, because he tolerates it really well. But, like, I really enjoy doing, just, I'll be really sassy and really annoying, and you just gotta be, like, sassy and annoying back. You gotta, like, fight me a little bit, and then I get, like, a little bit of dopamine, and I can go on and do the rest of the things I need to do. But then sometimes it's really distracting, and I'm, like, not locked into it, but then I spend a little bit more time being a little bitch than I don't. I'm just annoying, okay? I see no problem with this. Anyway, Chaotic says, this reminds me of a funny and dark story. I was walking by the street and saw a woman. She recognized me and asked me how I was doing ara, and I noticed that she had her eye was hurt. So I asked her what happened, and she said my partner punched me, but now he's in the hospital because I stabbed him. And I said, okay, and then you left, bruh, what the fuck? That girl is definitely like still processing that shit. When you're processing stuff, you'll just say it to people because you don't understand how bad it is, and you'll just be like, yeah, this is the thing, and you'll be mad about it or whatever. I'm like this too, and everyone for the most part, most people will process in a similar way where you just kind of trauma dump and you don't really you're not understanding your dumping because like the reality of it hasn't really hit you, so you don't know how to like interact with people about it. Yeah. It's not good. It's not great. Yup. I've been there, girly. And then you just left. I mean, but also, like, what else are you gonna do? Because you can't always be like, oh, what happened or whatever. So you're just like, well, that fucking sucks. You just leave. Ah. Oh, man. I've been both. I know, I do trauma dump as well. I gotta learn how to fix this. I think it's like once you process the trauma, then you're like, oh, there's only so much I can share. But like when you're still processing things, like I said, you can't understand what is or is not too much. It's hard to really see that. So you're just like, eh. And I've been there. I've been there. But therapy and taking care of myself and blah 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 has made me come so far. It takes a while. I'll still fuck it up though. Which is why I keep to myself a lot. Chaotic says, but I felt bad for her, of course, and it just made me depressed even more because toxic relationships, yeah. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. But I think you're doing a good job. You've been very mindful of it. That's why, like, when I, like, needed to, I don't know, honestly, for a long time, I really didn't understand how bad things were, and I'd be, like, talking about it with people, and they'd be like, what the fuck? And I'd be like, oh, ha 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 ha, that's normal, right? And they'd be like, kind of like looking at me, and I'd be like, oh, ha ha ha. Anyway, I just go do like other stuff, which is like absolutely ridiculous. But I don't know. That's just how life is sometimes. So whatever. Also, I got to go. It's not me trying to cut you off, but Chaotic says, but I felt bad for her, of course, and it just made me depressed even more because toxic relationships. Yeah. Oh, you already said that. Fuck. I got awkward. Anyways, I know you saw my emotes. These are the old emotes. I wanted to release them because I'm still struggling with the formatting because there's like a background in it every time I try it, even though it's not supposed to have a background. And I'm trying to anyways, I'll have more time tomorrow or this weekend to work on it because I had class stuff I gotta do tonight, so I'm like, otherwise I would. The past couple nights have been like, but it's okay. I'll get it more of a routine soon. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have had a wonderful day. But yeah. Thank you, Chaotic. Thank you, George. And thank you, everybody else. So sleep well, stay safe, stay alive, and